Welcome to NFL Nexus, everyone. Man, have we got a good one for you today. We're going to break down what is, no joke, one of the most fascinating strategic chess matches of the entire NFL playoffs. But hey, before we get into all the X's and O's of this incredible showdown, if you love this kind of deep dive football analysis, do us a solid, will ya? Go ahead and subscribe to the channel and smash that like button. It really is the #1 way you can help us keep bringing you these explainers on the games you're passionate about. All right, let's get right into it. We're talking about the divisional round showdown between the Chicago Bears and the Los Angeles Rams. Now, at first glance, you might just see, a classic underdogging versus a powerhouse. But trust me, when you start peeling back the layers here, what you find is this incredibly tense, high-stakes chess match that's about to play out. And the craziest part, the entire game, everything, could boil down to one single critical decision. Okay, so to really get a handle on this strategic dilemma, we first got to set the stage properly. You need to understand who these two teams are, right? So let's start with one side of the ball. And what a story it is. We're talking about maybe the most surprising, most exciting underdog story we've seen this whole postseason. Yup, the Chicago Bears. Think about this for a second. It's the very first year under head coach Ben Johnson. They've got the #1 pick, rookie QB Caleb Williams, under center. And they have just built an entire season on making everyone eat their words. Seriously, who saw this coming back in August? Nobody. They rip off an 11-6 season, they win a brutal NFC North, and now here they are hosting a playoff game as the NFC's #2 seed. It's insane, and they've done it with these heart attack-inducing last-second comebacks. We just saw it last week, didn't we? In the wild card game, they're down 21-3 against their biggest rival, the Packers, and they somehow claw their way back to win it. This season for them, it hasn't just been good, it's been pure, unadulterated magic. But on the other side of the field, you've got the complete opposite of a Cinderella story. We're talking about the Los Angeles Rams. These guys are tested, they're battle-hardened, they're a perennial powerhouse. They just went on the road and survived an absolute nail-biter, a 34-31 shootout against the Panthers. And how'd it end? How else? With their superstar quarterback, Matthew Stafford, doing what he does, leading yet another game-winning drive in the final minutes. So you know they're not going to be intimidated by the playoff atmosphere, the loud crowd, or the pressure. For the Rams, this is just another day at the office. And that, right there, brings us to the absolute heart of this matchup. It's the big question hanging over this entire game. We know the Bears' offense, with Caleb Williams at the helm, is explosive. They're the reason Chicago's even here. But their defense? Well, let's just say most people think it's a year or two away from being truly elite. So the question is, how in the world can that defense possibly hope to slow down, let alone stop, this high-powered, high-octane Rams offense? It seems impossible, right? Well, their path to victory? It's incredibly narrow, but it's there. So where is this narrow path? Well, the answer, the whole key for the Chicago Bears, it all comes down to one single, absolutely glaring statistical split for the Rams quarterback, Matthew Stafford. It's like a secret code that reveals a hidden weakness, a vulnerability that the Bears have to exploit if they want even a prayer of winning this game. Okay, so check this out. What's so wild here is just how dramatic this split is. It's not a small difference. It's like we're talking about two totally different QBs, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So when Stafford has a clean pocket, when his O-line gives him time, he's a stone-cold killer. He's completing almost 69% of his passes, throwing for a crazy 42 touchdowns against only 7 picks. He's basically unstoppable. But the second you get pressure in his face, everything changes. His completion percentage just plummets, all the way down to 53%. And you know why that happens, right? His internal clock starts racing, his mechanics get all out of whack, he can't set his feet, and suddenly he can't scan the field to find the open guy. You see it in the advanced stats too. His EPA per dropback, which is just a fancy way of measuring how efficient a QB is, it drops from being top 5 in the league all the way down to 9th. He goes from being a superhero to being just human. He becomes vulnerable. And that quote right there really drives the point home. We're not talking about a little dip in his play here. A 16-point drop in completion percentage. That is massive in the NFL. That's the difference between a surgeon carving up a defense and, well, a guy who's suddenly prone to making those huge game-losing mistakes. And for a Bears defense that lives and breathes on creating turnovers and getting the ball back to their offense, this right here, this is their shot. It's their only way in. And hey, you don't even have to take my word for it. We just saw this play out in real time last week in the wild card game against Carolina. When the Panthers' D-line actually managed to get home and pressure Stafford, just look at these numbers. 2 for 9, 30 yards, and an interception. He was a complete non-factor. We saw him trying to force throws into double coverage, things you just never see from him when he's comfortable in the pocket. It's a night and day difference. So it's pretty clear, right? The path forward for Chicago is crystal clear. Their entire defensive game plan has to be built around one single solitary goal: pressure Matthew Stafford at all costs. They can't just sit back in coverage and pray. They've got to get in his face, mess with his rhythm, and force him to make those mistakes. That's it. That's their only glimmer of hope if they want to pull off this huge upset. Okay, sounds simple enough, doesn't it? Just get pressure on the QB. It's probably the oldest saying in football. But here's the twist. For this specific Chicago Bears team, that simple, obvious plan is actually a huge, huge problem. It's almost a paradox. And this is where we get to the really tough part. This is the brutal reality of the situation, the absolute nightmare of a dilemma that the Bears' defensive coordinator, Dennis Allen, is staring at. He knows what he has to do. He knows he has to get to Stafford. But the players he has to do it with, well, that makes it an incredibly dangerous gamble. Yeah, unfortunately for Chicago, getting after the quarterback is not exactly their strong suit. To be blunt, it's their single biggest weakness as a team. Just look at the regular season stats. They were way down at the bottom of the league in all the key pass rushing metrics. 26th in sacks, 27th in pressure rate. So if they just send their front four guys, a standard rush, that's just not going to cut it. Stafford will have enough time back there to read a book before he decides who to throw to. Okay, so the logical next move is to blitz, right? You got to manufacture some pressure, and a blitz, for anyone who doesn't know, is just when you send extra guys, a linebacker, a safety, whoever, to go after the QB. It's a gamble. You're giving up someone in coverage, hoping to get to the quarterback faster. But here's the really crazy part. Even when the Bears tried that this season, it still didn't work. They were 29th in the league at getting pressure when they blitzed. Think about that. They were taking the risk, but getting none of the reward. So what does that leave you with if your normal four-man rush is useless and your normal blitz packages don't work? What do you do? Well, Dennis Allen's only choice is to double down. He's got to go all in on the gamble. Send even more guys and do it more often. We're talking about a true high-risk, high-reward strategy. And what that means is you're leaving your cornerbacks out on an island. We're talking one-on-one, no safety help over the top, against guys like Puka Nacua, who is a genius at finding holes in a defense, and Devontae Adams, who might just be the best in the business at winning 50-50 balls. I mean, for a defensive coordinator, that is a truly terrifying thought. And this is where the chess match gets really, really interesting. This is where the problem for the Bears goes from being difficult to being almost existential. Because as it turns out, the Los Angeles Rams are uniquely built with the perfect counterpunch to this exact all-or-nothing blitzing strategy. Look, everyone talks about the Rams' passing attack, and for good reason. It's explosive. But what gets overlooked is that they have one of the most efficient, most elite running games in the entire NFL. Sean McVay is an absolute wizard at designing a run game, and his outside zone scheme is designed to stretch a defense from sideline to sideline. And the stats back it up. They were second in the whole league in rushing success rate and fifth in EPA per rush. So this isn't just some, they can run the ball too kind of thing. No, this is a dominant rushing attack, and it's perfectly designed to gash a defense right where they're weakest, which just so happens to be the exact spots that open up when you blitz. And of course, on the flip side, what's been a problem for the Bears all year? Stopping the run. They've struggled with it constantly. They're in the bottom 10 in stuff rate. That's basically stopping a run for no gain or a loss. And they're 21st in efficiency against the run. So already not great. But then, to make a bad situation a complete disaster, they just lost their starting middle linebacker, TJ Edwards, for the season last week. And let me tell you, Edwards wasn't just some guy. He was the brain of that defense, the guy making all the calls, getting everybody lined up correctly. Losing him leaves a gaping hole, not just in talent, but in leadership, right in the heart of their defense. So do you see the trop now? This is the bind the Bears are in. It's a strategic checkmate. If Dennis Allen sends the blitz to get after Stafford, which he has to do, he's pulling guys out of the box, leaving the middle of the field wide open. And that creates these massive running lanes for the Rams' 1-2 punch of Kyren Williams and Blake Corum to just run wild against a defense that can't stop the run anyway and is now missing its best linebacker. It's a classic damned if you do, damned if you don't scenario. So, with both teams kind of stuck in this strategic stalemate, what gives? Well, the game could honestly come down to a few wild cards, a few X factors that neither coach can really game plan for. So let's take a look at what could end up tipping the scales. First up, injuries. They always play a huge part in the playoffs, right? For the Rams, we know Stafford's still dealing with that sprained finger on his throwing hand. Is it going to affect his accuracy? We'll see. For the Bears, we already talked about the loss of TJ Edwards, and that is just a brutal blow. But on the offensive side, they're expecting their star rookie receiver Rome Odunze to play. The problem? He's got a stress fracture in his foot. And for a wide receiver, that is a massive deal. All of your explosiveness, your ability to cut on a dime, it all comes from planting that foot. Odunze is Williams' go-to deep threat, so if he's even a step slow, that could really limit what the Bears' offense can do. And then you have the weather. This game is going to be played in Chicago, in freezing temperatures. And that could be a huge factor. For one, the cold could make it way harder to grip the football, which could really aggravate Stafford's finger injury. And if that's the case, what do you think Sean McVay is going to do? He's going to lean even more on his dominant run game, which, as we've established, is the perfect way to punish the Bears for blitzing and attack that weak spot where TJ Edwards used to be. So that's what it all boils down to. You've got a desperate defense on one side and a perfectly balanced offense on the other. So which is it gonna be? Will the Bears' all-out, high-risk blitzing create enough chaos, enough turnovers to fluster Stafford and let them pull off the miracle upset? Or is the Rams' perfect counterpunch, that killer run game, just going to be too much for the Cinderella story to handle? Man, it is going to be a fascinating tactical battle to watch. But I want to know what you all think. What's going to be the deciding factor here? Is Chicago's only hope, that all-out pressure on Stafford, going to be enough? Or will the Rams' ground and pound game just be the perfect answer? Drop your predictions in the comments below. I'd love to read them. And hey, if you enjoyed this breakdown, please don't forget to like this explainer and subscribe to NFL Nexus so you don't miss our deep dives all through the playoffs. And one last thing, if you're looking for a really cool way to support the channel and maybe a fun activity for game day, check out our NFL-themed coloring books. Seriously, they're perfect for fans of all ages, whether it's for your kids, grandkids, or hey, even for yourself. The link for that is right down in the description. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.